like it's hot.
Coming in hot.
Drop it like it's hot. Cause I got it going on.
Good gracious, I got some motivations. Flirtatious, trying to show face. I'm waiting for the right time to shoot my steez on.
I'm coming in hot.
I'm leaving, please believing. Me and the rest of my reasons. Taking Cadillac at the top of the boat season.
Fans, this is Ramon from Jets Guru, aka at Guru Jets on Twitter. Hey, you are now watching Jets Guru Live. Go Jets, 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 Jets.
Let's make sure we play like the New York Jets.
I would never back down, y'all giving up, I would never tap out. Y'all capping, I would never cap out. Made it out the mud from the back of my dad's house. I was so selfish, living with a death wish. Shit was so tempting, ignoring my blessings. Always in bed, but never felt rested. Living so fast, could've died, I got arrested. Mine was
All
a prison
gas,
and I was a
no
victim,
break.
but I was a villain, was losing my vision. I felt something missing with every decision. I think to myself I should be more forgiving. The devil was hitting, but I battled back. Before it was too late, I got back on track. Got used to depression and panic attacks, but I kept walking through hell and I never looked back. I won't ever back down again. Life's been throwing me challenges. I've been staying on track with it, and I will keep it going to the very end. When my life's put to the test, I will not accept second best. I will never back down, I will never hold back. Success up on my mind and I want it so bad. I will never hold back, I will never hold back. I will never back down, I will never hold back. Success up on my mind and I want it so bad. I will never hold back, I will never hold back.
I'ma let 'em know that every time you hear me on the track, I be in high resolution. But my last
What's going on, Jets Nation? CJ the Painkiller D. Simone here, and you are watching Jets Guru. Now, give it up for your host, Mr. Daniel Smith!
What is going on, everybody out there? I hope I'm coming in nice and clear. Our intro video is a little bit out of control, at least on my end. Let me know if it was clear or not. But hey, listen, we are in the building. As you can see, new background in front of me. I moved, and so I'm out in the courtyard trying out some new things. That is a real background. It's not fake, even though it may look fake, like I'm on some kind of screen. But welcome to Jets Guru. Thank you guys for being the best fans in the entire world. Appreciate all the support each and every week. It's unbelievable what you guys are capable of if you just put your minds to it. And I'm asking you to share right now if you can. Really would appreciate it. No cursing, no politics here, just all Jets football. Shout out to JR, like everyone is saying, all the little intros. He takes Jets Guru to the next level. Puts it up to where we can compete with other people with better productions. And so I'm very happy to have JR part of the crew. He's a staple here now with Jets Guru, and we're very happy to have him along with Krista as well, who's with us each and every week. And so I ask you, Krista, as we sit here, you know, we spoke about everything leading up to this, how the team changed its identity and how they were going to approach free agency, how they were going to allow the GM to go and find coaches. But when you look at it from your perspective, after looking through, well, we'll go through each game of the schedule. We'll go like one by one. But leading up to this point, the draft, free agency, the staff that they brought in, how excited are you to watch these guys get on the field? And ultimately, do you think that there's more success ahead for the Jets instead of painful rebuilding years?
Yeah, I think the Jets finally rebuild the right way, and I talked about this previous Jet Gurus episode ago, that the most important thing that the Jets needed to do was to let Joe Douglas pick his staff and let Saleh pick his coaching staff. We couldn't do what we did to last year when we were going to hire Matt Rule and we were going to stick him with all these random coaches that he didn't even want. And I think it was a big factor for the New York Jets and for potential candidates moving forward that Woody Johnson and Christopher Johnson backed out of this whole entire thing and let Joe Douglas run the whole show. And I think that as Jet fans, I know a lot of Jet fans I talk to are tired of the whole rebuilding thing, but the thing is, the Jets never properly rebuild the team ever. It was always these minor reconstructions or retooling, whatever they want to call it, but they never fully rebuild. They use the word rebuild, but they never properly rebuild and start from ground up. Now we finally have Zach Wilson. We finally have a rookie head coach, all on the same deal, same term kind of speak, meaning that we're not getting like a veteran guy like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, or we're not doing this or that. This is a rebuild. And I'm excited. I like what the Jets have done. They didn't reach for any players. And I think for Joe Douglas, what made me win his trust was the fact that he went and got up and got his guy. I know there's a lot of controversy about AVT. I'm not going to go and pronounce his name because I know you guys in the comments are getting on me about how I pronunciate his name. I'm still learning how to pronounce his name.
Yep.
I know I got called calling him skin moisturizer. I don't want to make that same mistake again, so I'm going to call him AVT.
You call me aloe vera.
Oh, man, I'm still doing that, so please bear with me. But, yeah, I'm very excited about Joe Douglas. I like that he was aggressive, went up and got his guy. It's not like Mike McCagan or Izzik, who just sat on his hands and drafted draft picks, or they didn't know what to do, or they traded back. I really feel confident in Joe Douglas that he went up and got his guy. I think as Jet fans, it was important that he was able to do that, and we got one of the best offensive linemen, only giving up 2 third-rounders. And if a lot of people think that's expensive, I want you to check to see what other teams have done to move up that far and what they gave up, because there's teams that moved up for far less, and they had to give up a future first-rounder. So the fact that we only had to give up 2 third-rounders was a win in my book. I'm very excited to see these guys on the field. I think that we have a lot of talented playmakers. I like that he surrounded Zach Wilson in the first 4 rounds. I was a huge fan of that. I know a lot of beats were criticizing the Jets, saying, hey, where's the cornerbacks? Where's the defense? Like, they haven't been covering this team, thinking how boring this team was with the 32nd ranked offense. I'm pretty sure the grass has grown a lot further on Florham Park than the whole entire offense last season, and that's saying a lot. So I'm very glad that Joe Douglas doesn't go and listen to the media or the outside noise. He does his thing, and I truly believe that he's on the right track. He built the team the right way. We got playmakers, didn't reach for anybody, and it was very, very refreshing to see, because normally when I'm in the draft, I'm always questioning myself with previous GMs, like, why did we draft this guy, or we overdrafted this guy, or why did we draft this project player in the mid-rounds? I didn't have any question. I felt like all the players that were picked deserved to be picked in their proper spots, and I think he took a lot of quality players in the end runs. Like you mentioned previous episodes ago, like he was getting a lot of heat for drafting 3 safeties in a row, but what people don't realize is that Saleh loves these versatile type defensive playmakers, and they don't just play safeties. They could play linebackers. They could play other positions as well. I think for me, Joe Douglas has hit it out of the park. I'm very excited to see this team, and I'm just expecting this team to be competitive, just stay competitive each and every game. That's what, as a fan, that I'm looking for Saleh to empower this team and just to stay competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more with how he's building this team. I mean, you have to be excited, absolutely. For once after 10 years, this franchise has given a GM the ability to be able to build a football team without interruption. And that's super important. And we talked about how Joe Douglas is more of a football guy than anything. And also he's a guy who knows how to use the cap in the sense where he may not be a money guy, but he has a value for what he wants to pay for a player, and he's not going to go over that. So the way I look at it is, he's done an outstanding job. I like the guys that he's brought in. I like the fire and attitude. And I think you need something like that coming off of Adam Gase. Everyone was kind of bummed out. He's not really a fiery guy. I like this. You get a guy who's a tape guy. He's an ascending name within coaching circles. He was going to get this opportunity. Don, I think CJ Mosley coming to this team is perfect, right in the right time. I mean, you just found yourself a potential Pro Bowl talented player. I mean, you see what he was able to do before he got hurt, and he's way healed from that injury. We got to remember that he took a year off because of COVID, like many players did in many sports across the United States and the globe. So I think when you look at it, you're getting a Pro Bowl player who's still young at the middle linebacking position for a defensive coach who's going to basically plug Mosley with everything he needs, and he's got him for a year. And I think this is an excellent opportunity for a young inside linebacker like Mr. Cashman, if he could stay healthy and show what he's got, which I think is the ability to be athletic, to keep up with not only backs, but tight ends and even slot receivers if need be. I think this guy is the real deal if he could stay healthy. And it's going to be an opportunity season for a lot of these young guys at the linebacker. Like you said, they drafted 3 safeties. And so when you look at it, people started freaking out. But again, for once, we're not drafting names. We're not drafting out of position. We're getting guys that are coming to the table who fit the scheme. 2 guys who are going to translate right to the outside linebacking position. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited that we're drafting and bringing in guys together in one accord, not, you know, Mac drafts a player, signs a player, and what are you doing here? Or Tim Tebow gets put on the roster and Rex Ryan's like, what's going on here? Or, you know, letting Mark Sanchez's players disappear on the roster, you know, over assessing his play. I mean, just time after time after time, you have the Jets organization that shoots itself in the foot and doesn't get the pick that they want, doesn't get the idea that they want put across, because you have 2 opposite tables who want 2 different things. And so for the first time in a long time, you know, the owner to GM, GM to coach, coach to staff, staff to players is all in one streamline. Everybody's here for one reason. And I think that's going to be a good thing for the next couple of years, at least. I think if you look at it, at least for the next 2 to 3 years, unless it goes really sour right out of the gate, which I don't think it's going to with the people that they assembled here and the talent that they assembled here. When you look at the deal, that was the one gripe that everybody was complaining about, right? They were complaining about the not only cornerback, but they were mostly complaining about offensive line. But we spoke about how, time and time again, how Joe Douglas went out there and he brought in a whole line of guys last year, and they didn't all work out. And so why put yourself at a disadvantage throwing out contracts to people when you already owe a couple people money that you would get rid of if you had a choice? And, you know, like McGovern, why do that to yourself when you can be the team that you've been talking about since you got here, which was build through the draft? So know what you do. You get yourself a Mekhi Becton. You trade up 2 third-rounders when you're stacked with picks, not only this year but next year as well. You move up. You get Vera Tucker. Then all of a sudden, guess what? The left side of that offensive line is completely sealed. Everyone says for the next 10 years, but these players don't seem to stay very long. The contract doesn't work out. Whatever's going on, and so. Talent-wise, it's a line that could last you for 10 years on the left side. And I think for a rookie quarterback coming in, I mean, you have to be absolutely excited that the rookie quarterback that you have can see everything in front of him. That's the thing. With the left side protected, he doesn't have to worry so much behind him. He could focus what's in front of him, which I think is so important for a young guy. He could focus on the reads, not worry about the pressure so much. And listen, hey, this is McGovern time. You know, if I'm not mistaken, he was the one that was talking about all the fans, calling them couch potatoes and all this other kind of stuff. Well, you got somebody, a young guy on the left side of you who should be able to do everything he needs to do. And so you just got to play ball, because he's got to play better than what he did and not worry about what the fans are doing, to be honest. But he should be protected. And then, I like what Fant did. I think that, you know, he was injured. The whole line was jumbled up and the quarterback was awful play calling. So Fant is an athletic right tackle, and I think that's why they elected to keep him, is when you look at it, to keep a guy like him. Listen, Fant was used at tight end in Seattle as a backup. He played left tackle. He plays right tackle. He's a very athletic offensive lineman. I think that fits perfectly in the scheme and what they're trying to do here. They want a line with guys who can get to the second level, not just north and south, but, you know, left and right as well, and be able to move around and control. Because remember, you're going to have different types of running backs in this offense. You know, you got different styles. All these guys that are on this roster are pretty much different style running backs. And I like that because, you know, it's hard to game plan for that. And you could do a lot of different things. You can do a lot of pre-snap motion on the offense to confuse people. And when you have different guys coming in and out at the running back position, at the receiver position, it's hard to pinpoint where you're going to go with the football. And I like that. And that's why when they drafted Elijah Moore, I wasn't upset, but I was kind of worried. I was like, oh man, are they going to cut Crowder? And then almost immediately a report comes out that Joe Douglas says that Elijah Moore wasn't there. He wasn't drafted to replace Jamison Crowder. He was there to expand on the offense. And that is what we have been talking about the whole time on Jets Guru. Let's expand this offense. Let's not take away weapons for people to do the same thing. You know, everybody wanted us to get Smith-Schuster. Everyone wanted us to get the other guy from Carolina, the slot receiver. And you look at their numbers compared to Jamison Crowder over the last 2 years, and they're nearly identical. You already have this guy on the roster for a year for $10 million, right? You already got Keelan Cole. You already got Elijah Moore. You already have a full draft class that you can get from next year. Ride it out. It doesn't hurt to have a veteran presence, a guy who runs really good, super professional, and another weapon on the roster when you can afford it for one more year. It doesn't hurt you at all to have Jamison Crowder on the roster. And so I think it's really important when you look at this to add to the weapons that are on the team. Don't take away because you're ultimately going to have to replace these guys anyways. You know, we saw this with Mark Sanchez. You got weapons, and then all of a sudden what happens? What happens? You got Mark Sanchez, and then you just let his weapons kind of fall off thinking Mark is going to save the team. But I could have told you a mile away that Mark Sanchez wasn't going to be able to throw your team back into a game, that he was going to need protection. And so I think they're doing the right thing. They've been a defensive-minded team nearly its entire history. I mean, you can't remember too many offensive juggernauts coming from the New York Jets. It's been a tough time as a fan. And so they went out and they wanted to protect their new quarterback and not make the same mistakes as the previous regime with their guy. And I think that's really, really important. I think that was smart of them to do. And let's get into the schedule and let's see. And honestly, I didn't really even peek into it too much because I wanted to kind of like just see it for the first time live and then kind of go. I've just glanced over it. I didn't really get into it. When I went over it and I glanced over it, I had the Jets I always start when I first look at it, best case scenario, I have 8 wins for the Jets throughout that whole schedule right there. But to pull it up, the first game, obviously September 12th at Carolina, sorry about that, against Sam Darnold. I think the NFL just wanted to do that. I mean, come on. I mean, obviously, what are the chances that it would be randomly? Yeah, okay. And it makes sense. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense for them to do that. And you know what? This is a huge game for Sam Darnold because the thing is, not only is it the Jets, but it's the first game of the season. It's opening day. Everyone's going to be juiced. The benefit is that's the downside of Sam Darnold in Carolina is that he's got to play his former team. His former team is going to be better than what it was. His former team is going to know a little bit of insights about him. That I think that on the other side, the Jets have had a lot of turnover in certain important positions that you can't look at too much former tape and pinpoint what the Jets are going to do. So it's even defensively because their scheme is going to be different. So I think that it hurts Sam Darnold in that way. But what benefits him is that he's at home. He also has a better offensive team than he had last year. So once he gets into camp, he should immediately see a difference and feel different because he's going to have weapons. I mean, Christian McCaffrey you could just dump it off to him. And listen, if Matt Rule is smart, he's going to be handing this ball off a ton to Christian McCaffrey. He's going to screen, try to keep the Jets defense off balance, play action. And I think you can get Sam on the move, rolling on the outside. Now, personally, if I'm using Sam Darnold, I'm going to take advantage of his athletic ability on the outside too. And so the Jets are going to have to watch the edges there, but that's why they brought a different scheme. That's why they have those outside linebackers who are quick, who can get out to the edges a little bit faster in this type of a scheme than what you're traditionally used to seeing an outside linebacker playing. So the way I look at it is this. The first game, it's not going to be easy. The Panthers have some weapons, but the Jets have weapons offensively too. And listen, Sam is going to be learning a new offense. Zach is going to be learning a new offense. It's going to be a little bit of rust coming out the gate. But I like the Jets' chances at Carolina because honestly, I don't believe in Sam Darnold till I see it consistently. And I really like what the Jets have put together offensively and what they can do to this team because while they have Christian McCaffrey, I mean, I'd like to see what they're going to do with Corey Davis and Mims and Crowder and Elijah Moore and possibly Chris Herndon. And, you know, maybe this Yeboah guy gets going. Who knows? Rotation of backs, pre-snap movement, you know. So this is going to be, you know, Matt Rule was supposed to be the Jets coach, basically, really, if they would have allowed him to hire a staff. This is going to be kind of a meeting of the minds here. I really do believe that, with guys installing new offenses with their quarterbacks, new teams, new starts. And so it's going to be a great start for the Jets, and it's no Buffalo. And so that's something to be proud and fun. And like, wow, we don't play Buffalo, you know, so I'm happy about that. And Krista, what do you think about game?
For the first game, I think for me,
what about you think about game one?
For me, I think what I'm most worried about, really, most focusedly on Zach Wilson, is because there's a portion of this fan base that expects Zach Wilson to be this great quarterback off the bat. And the fact that he's going against Sam Darnold, and you have those fans that are like, oh man, we should have kept Sam Darnold. If Sam Darnold comes out here, I'm just saying, and beats New York Jets and Zach Wilson looks bad, Jets Twitter is going to explode. I won't hear the end of it. It's just, I hate to put that much pressure on Zach Wilson, but I know the media, I know the fans, especially the ones that wanted Sam Darnold, is going to attack the poor kid. I think it's really important for Zach Wilson to have a really good game, especially against the Panthers, just to shut those fans up. And I hate to say that. I hate to even that our fan base is divided like that, but there is pressure for Zach Wilson to do well in this game as well. And I'm sure Sam Darnold has, even though Sam Darnold's a nice guy, we've seen it, I'm sure he has some bitter feelings towards the Jets. He's probably like, oh man, now they have all these weapons. I could have been the guy there. I'm sure he has some feelings there. He's not going to show it. I'm sure Sam's going to do whatever he does to try to impress the Jets. But at the end of the day, I think we know what Sam Darnold is. And I think you hit all the key points about what Matt Rule should do. He should roll him out. And I'm interested to see how Matt Rule uses Sam Darnold, because if he rolls him out, that's going to be something to watch for, because I'm interested to see how the Jets gameplay against that. But I have confidence with Carl Lawson to get pressure on Sam Darnold, and for Sam Darnold to throw those picks too, because USC, the one thing that I was very weary about Sam Darnold is he's very, very interception prone. He throws picks a lot, and when you get him to games where he has to put the team on his back, and where he needs to, when he has a lot of pressure, he throws a lot of picks because he wants to be the savior. He wants to make those game-changing plays. I think if you put pressure on Sam Darnold and use Carl Lawson to kind of pressure Sam Darnold, I think we can get that kind of Sam Darnold that we saw at USC. But I think for the Jets, I think they really need to build momentum with Zach Wilson, build some confidence, especially against the Carolina Panthers. And I hate that I'm putting this much pressure on Zach Wilson, but I think it's very important for Zach Wilson to have a strong game here against the Panthers.
Absolutely, 100%. You got to come out the gate looking good. I mean, listen, Sam Darnold's first game, he throws an interception on his first throw. So for Darnold, it can't really be a worse start than that. And he recovered at least from that. And so I think he'll be fine. I think, to start that game, they should start it off slow with Wilson, maybe a running play, then maybe like a play action set up to the tight end, something quick just to get him loose, get his first throw out there. But again, I think it's a winnable game, and I'm just going to have the Jets win in that game. Right now, again, this is the early look at the schedule. We have to see these guys in camp, injuries, all this other stuff. So week to week, we're going to be breaking these games down like we do all the time. But, I mean, this is just kind of an outer look because the schedule just dropped. So, the guys that are like, how could you even predict that? Like, it's like, relax. Okay, we're just going over the schedule, having fun, settle down. There's no final predictions on anything. I'm not putting money down on anything quite yet. We're just going over it. So the next two games, you have the Patriots, you have the Broncos. I think, obviously, playing, since I've been a Jet fan, it's been so many years, but Belichick can't wait to get his hands on rookie quarterbacks and all this stuff. But, he might have a rookie quarterback starting too. Saleh's not a bad defensive coordinator himself. And so you might really be getting a good start here when you look at it, because you have a quarterback that you know organizationally, so there's things you can game plan for it. And then you go to the Patriots game where you might be playing a rookie, and everyone's like, but it's Belichick. And I'm like, okay, it's Belichick, dude. But really, we saw who were the wheels, and we knew what it really was, because players play the game. The scheme matters. The coaching matters. But at the end of the day, you need the talent. And Tom Brady is the talent. And, we'll see what he can do with his, overinflated, overpaid roster. What he's going to do in the AFC East. But, that's a winnable game, too, against the Patriots. It's in New York. It's a home opener. People are going to be juiced. I'm saying the Jets are going 2-0 to start the season. Hoopla stuff. This is just like a preseason for overview schedule. So then week 3, we got the Broncos, a 4:05 game. We're going to have to travel. Traditionally, it's harder to play in the higher altitudes. I know Zach Wilson, it's kind of almost a homecoming for him. The Broncos, it should be a winnable game. Again, I'm not really scared of what they're putting together out there. And so the Jets a win for week 3, and then week 4 we play the Titans, and so I think the Jets 3-0, the upstart. Wow, look at the new start, boom, 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 and then they run into the Titans at home, and they get their butt whooped a little bit. Ball gets ran on them, maybe a turnover or two, but you never know. But I'm going to have the Jets losing that one. So for the first 4, Krista, I have the Jets at 3-1. What's your take on those 3 games?
For me, I'm kind of nervous about a Bill Belichick type defense against Zach Wilson, because I know that Bill Belichick's going to design all these blitzes and packages that Zach Wilson probably has never seen before. So for me, I'm kind of scared of the Patriots in that aspect with Bill Belichick as mine. But I'm not quite sure what Bill Belichick's going to do at quarterback, whether he sticks with Cam Newton or he sticks with Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a fairly accurate quarterback, but I'm not scared of the Patriots. Wide receivers, like Bart Scott says, I think any of us could catch a football better than Nelson Aguilar or whoever they have at wide receiver. But other than that, I think for me, because of Zach Wilson and experience, I'm going to chalk that one up as a loss, because I just can't go against Bill Belichick's defense. Nothing against Zach Wilson, but I think he's going to see a bunch of things he's never seen before. I think he's going to be a little mind blown. I think, unfortunately, I have to get a loss on that. As far as the Denver Broncos, they have a pretty good roster, but they don't have a quarterback. They have Teddy Bridgewater, and I love Teddy Bridgewater, nice guy, but he doesn't scare me as a quarterback. They have a lot of weapons at a wide receiver, tight end. Seems like they like to stockpile on these weapons, but they don't have a quarterback. I think we could stop them. I'm not scared of that offense. Or the only thing that really, really concerns me about the Denver Broncos is the pass rush and blocking Bradley Chubb and Von Miller. How our offensive line is going to handle against that, especially with ABT. But I think Becton's going to hold it down. I think that's a winnable game. I'm going to give the Jets a win. And as for the Titans against Tannehill, I'm very, very nervous about Derrick Henry against our defense. I'm not sure how our defense is going to handle against Derrick Henry, just because Derrick Henry is a beast. And Tannehill with his rollouts, we know we've been killed years before with quarterbacks that are very, very mobile. And until this team proves to me that we can stop those kind of quarterbacks, I gotta give the win to the Titans. So I'm at 2-2.
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I could see that being. I mean, listen, I could see that being the case for sure. 2-2. I'm just being. I'm juiced up.
Yeah,
I'm being the Jets fan tonight, and I'm going to give them that 3-1 mark going into London. Going into London to play the Falcons. I don't like this matchup for the Jets. Reason being the no home crowd feel, and also, man, Matt Ryan I don't think is done yet. So I think you look at their roster, if they can be healthy into that matchup, Julio Jones, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Calvin Ridley, Arthur Smith, the new offense. He's going to know and install that pace to the Falcons game, where it's just not going to be like throwing down the field, throw it down the field, throw it down the field. I think they're going to have balance. They're going to be hard to stop. So I'm going to give the Falcons the go-ahead right there. And then going into right from there, you go into the bye, which I think is good for the Jets at that point with all that travel and everything going on. And, physical matchup against the Titans who could maybe beat up on you. And then you got to travel over to London just a few days later and play the Falcons, kind of a high-octane offense potentially with the roster that they have. So I think going into the bye week 6 is good for the Jets. Coming out of the bye week 7, you get you're at the Patriots, which gives you a little bit more time. So if you didn't look good in that week 2 matchup, like you were talking about, Krista, you got some time here, an extra week to prepare for what you're going to see. I think by this time you'll probably know what your team is looking like at that point. I think when you really look at it, the Jets or the Patriots by week 7, week 8, you should know what you have. And so that's going to be an interesting matchup to see where both teams are at. I have the Jets actually losing here. They traditionally don't do well up there, and they don't do well against them anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and give them that loss there. So that would be back-to-back losses coming off a bye. So you would go 3-1 to 3-2, and then ultimately to 3-3 heading into the week 8 matchup against the Bengals. And so when you look at it, to me, Bengals team is going to be like. I really don't. They've got a ton of weapons to work with, especially if Joe Burrows is healthy. They could throw the ball around a little bit, so it's going to be an interesting matchup, But they're still the Bengals, so I got to give the Jets, their due there. So let me just catch up here. So we got 1-0, we got 2-0, we got 3-0, we got 3-1. We got 3-2. We got 3-3. We got the Jets at 4-3 going into week 9 at the Colts. I'm going to stop here and I'm going to ask JR really quick. I'm going to say, JR, at the halfway point there, where do you see the Jets? I have them at 3-3 going into that week 9 matchup at the Colts.
Yeah, I got them actually the same. I got the first 3 wins and then we lose 3 in a row. I actually got the same.
All right, yeah, that's awesome. All right, so there we go. So week 9 at the Colts, I'm going to go ahead and give the Jets the L here too. I think the offensive line of the Colts, they finally find their quarterback, the in-between. I mean, Phillip Rivers is an awesome quarterback, lacking the physical tools. I think Carson Wentz is going to see what it's like to have an offensive line in front of him. Jonathan Taylor's an excellent back. They got Pittman Jr. They got some guys out there that can play. And don't forget, this isn't the Colts that was with Peyton Manning. Their defense actually stepped up and played too. And so at home for them, a potentially really good game. I'm going to give the Jets the loss here. So this is going to drop the Jets to 4-4. Going into the week 10 in the first matchup against the Bills, I'm going to give them the L here, and the Jets are going to go to 4-5. Basically, the Bills are they're the leading division guy here until I see anything better. And they've got a window now this year, probably next year, before they're going to have to retool and get where they're going. So, Krista, going up to week 10 now, and where do you have the Jets after the bye? I have them, only winning 1 game really in the month of November until they get to the Texans. So right now I have them at 4-3. I mean 4-4. Sorry, and going into the Bills game where they ultimately lose and go to 4-5 week 10. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I pretty much have the same thing. Like you mentioned, the Patriots, we normally don't do well up there. I'm just hoping that we at least stay competitive since we played them early on, that Zach Wilson's more familiar of what Bill Belichick will throw against them. But other than that, I think we will win the Bengals, like you mentioned before. I'm not confident with the Bengals simply because the Bengals have done a very, very bad job of protecting Joe Burrow, and I still think they made a big, big mistake passing on Penny Sewell over Jamar Chase. I think that is going to haunt them, even though Jamar Chase is an excellent talent, excellent wide receiver. I think the Bengals are going to pay not getting offensive line help for the poor guy. And I think that's our only win, unfortunately, that I see up to this point. And Indianapolis Colts, very strong roster. They have a very good defense, very good offense, very good offensive line. Even though I'm not the hugest fan of Carson Wentz, I still think that's a very, very good team that the Jets are going to play against. So ultimately, I got to give them a loss there as well. And the Buffalo Bills, they're just a superior team, unfortunately, in the AFC East until proven otherwise. They have Stephon Diggs. I'm not quite sure how we're going to block him because he's just a good route runner, good all around. And Josh Allen's also good with his legs as well. And the Jets haven't been good at stopping Josh Allen when he's on the run. And that's the one thing that I kind of want to see from this defense and I have question marks for. We play a lot of teams that have very mobile quarterbacks. I want to see how our defense adjusts and how we stop these kind of quarterbacks. And other than that, yeah, I'm totally with you. Unfortunately, I only see us beating the Bengals up to this point in Week 10.
Yeah, and I think it continues Week 11 against the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are just yet another AFC team that's ready for playoff action where the Jets are still rebuilding. So ultimately, I think the Jets go to 4-6. I know at this point, the media is going to be going crazy. The Jets aren't really winning that many games there in the month of November, but that is what it is. You got to keep trucking along. Basically, I'm looking at this as almost a year one endeavor. Then I think they go to the Texans. I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to be playing in game, no doubt. I think they break that losing streak too, get to 5-6, and then you have the Week 13 matchup against the Eagles. And I'm sorry, I'm giving the Jets the edge here. I'm not impressed with what the Eagles have. I like Jalen Hurts, but I think the Jets have made some strides too. I think that's going to be a game that's going to be pretty much even, and I'm going to give the Jets the win there and have them get to 6-6. People are feeling confident. Jets get back to 500. And then the Jets go ahead and play the Saints at home with no Drew Brees. I know it's a good team and all that kind of stuff, but I'm sorry. I'm still giving the Jets the edge here at home. I'm going to go ahead and take them. And so they're going to go ahead to 7-6. And then we're going to play the Dolphins in Miami. I think we're going to take a double loss from Miami this year. Many years we split with them, but not this year.
Yeah.
I think we go 7-7. And then the big time matchup at home, Mr. Trevor Lawrence and Tim Tebow head up to New York to play the New York Jets. And, it's interesting because, if something happens to Trevor Lawrence, how do you not at least try some situations with Tebow at quarterback, knowing that Urban knows so much about Tim? So that's going to be an interesting to watch for sure when you get down there. And I mean, you're looking at the schedule. I mean, again, there's going to be so many AFC teams that I think are going to be in contention that I don't think the Jets are going to be anywhere near. But I think you're looking at the season and you're getting very excited about what you're seeing. So I think, I don't know. I mean, I want to say the Jets are going to be a better team than the Jaguars. You know what I'm saying? But I like their weapons that they have out there, and I like Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to be a homer, though, until I see the actual team, on the field. So I'll be a homer. I'll say the Jets win there and get to, I believe that's 8-7 at that point, right? Yeah, 8-7. And then they play the Buccaneers. I mean, catch that big-time L. I don't care if that's away or if that's home.
Oh, man.
This is a team where they re-signed the entire football team, which you just don't even really see that anymore. They're ready for a repeat. And so as far as I'm concerned, that is going to be an L, which will take them to 8-8. And then you look at the Week 18 matchup at the Bills. It's Buffalo. This might be a game the Bills might need to win the division or whatever they need to do, barring injury. And I think the Jets ultimately take the L here, going to 8-9. I think it's a very successful New York Jets season, first year. And I think if the Jets were to finish 8-9, you can absolutely say that they'll be one of those teams that'll be pushing for a playoff spot the next year, which would be an amazing turnaround. And we spoke about that on Jets Guru, how, I believe because of the amount of money and the amount of picks that they were able to acquire, that you can have a quick turnaround. It doesn't have to be a rebuild that takes 3 or 4 years and you're paying big money to your quarterback before he's even tested. The Jets can play in legit games in 2 years if they do what they're supposed to do. They have enough talent. They have more than enough talent than most young teams. I mean, look at most rosters who had the number 1 pick. how many of them can you say that their roster is better than the Jets right now on paper? I think the Jets have done a pretty good job considering they won 2 games last year and acquiring enough assets to rebuild their team for, I think, which will be a very promising first year considering you won 2 games. I think the Jets can come out and win anywhere from 6 to 8 games in their first campaign here with Saleh and the whole crew together, and I think that's awesome. I mean, you got to be excited for that as a Jet fan. And looking for bigger things coming the next year. So, Krista, how do you ultimately think the Jets finish out the 2021 season?
Yeah, I'm with you with the Dolphins. Unfortunately, I think we're going to take the loss twice with them. I just really like what Brian Flores is doing over there in Miami, and I hate to say it, but I got to give the guy credit for how he turned around that whole entire team. So, for the Miami Dolphins, I got to get a loss. And as for the Houston Texans, Bill O'Brien did that team so dirty, got rid of all the talent away from them. So without Deshaun Watson, that team doesn't even scare me. The only thing, the big component for that whole team was Deshaun Watson, and I'm not even sure what's happening with whole Deshaun Watson, but I'm going to give the Jets a win there. And as far as the Eagles, they play on my birthday, so I'm very, very biased. I got to give the win to the New York Jets. Not like anyone cares. A side comment there. I do love Devonta Smith. As much Alabama players they drafted this year, I'm gonna give the Jets an edge there. We gotta win against the Eagles. I'm so sick of the commenters saying, the Jets are the only team that's never beat the Eagles. Blah 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 blah. But I have a feeling Zach Wilson's gonna go there and really do well, and that team doesn't scare me. I'm not scared of Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry, I'm just not scared of him. So I'm going to be a homer, pick the Jets to win there. As far as the Saints, I just can't go against Sean Payton. He's just a really, really good coach. I don't know whether Taysom Hill's going to be quarterback or Jameis Winston's going to be quarterback. I am not entirely sure. Michael Thomas is a good receiver. I'm like at a toss-up. I'm like 50-50 on that, but I might have to go the homer pick like you because you inspired me. So because of you, I'm going to pick the W here against the Saints. And Dolphins, yeah. I don't think we're going to win against the Dolphins, so I have to pick a loss there. Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, we're going to win against Trevor Lawrence. Come on. As much as I wanted Trevor Lawrence, I think your energy rubbed off on me. We're winning against Trevor Lawrence and that team, and Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow, and how many of the ex-playmakers he wants to sign from his Florida.
At home.
We are going to win. We are going to win. I think your energy has rubbed off on me. We are winning against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Even if their defense might scare me a bit, I am not intimidated. We are going. Zach Wilson, I think, has a chip on his shoulder from not being that #1 pick because there was a lot of talk, a lot of people saying, oh, Zach Wilson, I would draft him first overall. And I think Zach Wilson really wants to prove himself in this game. So I'm going to pick the win here. As far as Tampa Bay, yeah, I'm not even going to talk about it. I just hope we don't get blown out in that game. I'm not even going. I just want to play competitive football. Hopefully, Tom Brady and all those weapons with Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette, and all the playmakers they have on defense. I just hope we don't get blown out of the game. I'm giving us a loss. As far as the Buffalo Bills, I'm just hoping they're not playing their backups at this point. I really hate playing first week in Buffalo and ending the last week in Buffalo. Stupid things happen in Buffalo, and I just hate playing against Buffalo, so I have a loss there in Buffalo because I don't know. It's just we do really bad against Buffalo starting or in the end, and the Buffalo's a superior team. They have a good defense, good offense, all around good coaching staff. Whether they're still playing their backups, I just don't feel confident, so I'm giving us a loss there against Buffalo in the last game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're pretty much on par, maybe a game or two here or there that we're off on. And I think, most fans feel that way, at least right now. I mean, there's a few fans that, it could go either way. I mean, we'll go over this schedule really quick, looking at it from, I wouldn't say a negative perspective, but when you look at it from start to finish, if things take a little bit longer, a little bit more to develop, I mean, when you look at week 1, you could definitely lose at the Panthers. You could definitely lose at the Patriots. Probably beat the Broncos, I think, either way. So you're 1-2. lose at the Titans 1-3. You can lose at the Falcons 1-4. You can lose at the Patriots after the bye 1-5. You could lose to the Bengals. I mean, their offense is going to be a lot better. They got another rookie quarterback. 1-6, 1-7 at the Colts, 1-8 at the Bills, 1-9 at the Dolphins. 2-10 at the Texans, maybe 3-10 at the Eagles. You know, lose to the Saints. You know, 3-11, lose to the Dolphins. 3-12, lose to the Jaguars. 3-4, 3-13, lose to the Buccaneers. 3-14, lose to the Bills. 3-15. I mean, it could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, it could happen. Injuries, the quarterback gets hurt. You know, it takes a little long. I mean, it is a rookie quarterback, a lot of pieces to develop. I don't think it goes that way because ultimately, you know, I do think they beat the Eagles, the Saints, the Bengals, the Texans. So I think they probably win about anywhere. Again, I said from 6 to 8 games. That's where I have the Jets tabbed out, 6 to 8 games. This team is, at least on paper, they're way better than what they were last year. And they won 2 games last year. So I really do think that they can win at least 6 to 8 games this year with this roster and everything put together. But hey guys, listen, you're amazing fans. The kiddos here are getting loud. They're getting loose, running around. So they're not my kids. They're not my kids. They're other people's kids. I got one kid. So but thank you guys so much for sharing the show, for everything that you guys do. You're just amazing fans, amazing people. Each and every week, I just get so excited to do the show because I have an audience. And so keep sharing, keep being a part of it, keep commenting. Me and Crystal try to go within the comments as much as we can and respond to you guys because sometimes in show it's really hard to do and stay on topic point. So, hey, listen, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. And please podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts, Google, Spotify, Apple, we're on there too. Just type Jets Guru. Please go on Instagram, Jets Guru. Please go on YouTube, Jets Guru. Please go to Twitter at Guru Jets, where our dude Ramon mostly runs that. And listen, we love it. We're gonna thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. JTS, Jets. Have a good weekend, guys.
I hit, go get the money, so I go get it. Hate means I do something right, so I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him, yeah.